this episode of Joy's World Podcast. Like my guest, I like to break into song all the time. Guys, I have a very, very special guest, and I'm very honoured to have her on my podcast. So for now, I'm just going to introduce her by name, but in a minute, you'll get your proper introduction, right? So please welcome to my world, the lovely Kelechi Okafor. Kelechi, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me, Joy.
No problem. Kelechi, I always ask my guests the same opening question because I actually do give a fuck. And that is, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling hopeful today. I'm feeling warm because the weather's picking up. So, you know, externally feeling warm, internally feeling hopeful.
Good. No, do you know what? One of my questions later is about hope, actually. So we're going to come right back to that. But okay. I'm going to give you a proper introduction, Kelechi, because you deserve it.
Thank you.
For my listeners that don't know, if they've been living under a rock and they don't know about your podcast, Say Your Mind, then they won't know that you, a lot of the time, start the episode with a lovely song, okay? And we love it. We absolutely love it. So I was thinking, like, when you agreed to come on, I was like, I need to write Kelechi a song. Now, Kelechi, babes, right? My listeners know I am a sexy blind bitch, and I tell Stevie Wonder is my dad. So I thought, with that in mind, I asked my dad if I could use one of his songs, you know, and he said yes, obviously. Oh. He said yes. So,
okay.
I have a smoker's cough, so let's just hope that I get Here we go, Kelechi.
Okay.
Let me just get the beat ready. Boom. She is Kelechi. She is a baby girl. She sells out live shows. And we don't care who knows. I can't believe what God has done. Through her, he's bringing sense to some. But lovely Kelechi. She is a writer. She's a director too. Her Twitter will school you. 'Cause some of you are just fools.
Love it.
But she is Kelechi, made with Niger blood. Boom.
Come through, lyricist. Come through, vocalist. That was perfection. Thank you. That's the best intro ever. In the world of intros, that is the best intro ever.
I'm really glad you liked it. It took me a while to write it, and I will record it and send it to you if you like.
Yes, please. Yes, please. I have to play it on the show as well. That crossover, I've got to play it on the show. Let people know that this is what's happening.
I mean, Kelechi, like, as I said, like, we love when you sing, right? But there was one time I was listening to your podcast, and I just so happened to be, I was about to have a shower, right? And it was playing in the background. And it was episode 183. Lyrics in there that was quite triggering, and I just want to discuss that with you.
Okay.
I don't know why you chose violence that day. You were singing hello and the lyrics, and I know but it was very upsetting.
Okay.
Let me just read you the lyrics.
Go on.
Okay. So the lyrics that made me touch my hair was, your hair is receding from the sides, from the braids you've done 1,000 times. Now, you know, that our edges situation is quite sensitive.
It's a touchy subject, but it must be touched. It's a touchy subject that must be touched. I'm team rob this to England, and also team leave your edges alone. And it's always, I feel like we've all had that experience of thinning edges, especially, you know, if you've experienced like pregnancy and stuff and then postpartum shedding. But no, I feel like apart from that side, there are some bad mind people that they really, because they're bad mind, their edges refuse to grow.
Right.
And then they make it worse for themselves because they really attach those braids, and the braids now pull that it's now pulling everything, because the braids, really what the braids are trying to do is trying to pull some integrity out of the follicles, but it's struggling. It's not possible. So all you're left with is that area. Yeah.
You know what, I do think that my edges disappeared after I had my daughter. So I for the rest of her life, but they've actually I was wearing wigs for a time, and it was just, I decided to put the braids back, and it was weird because when I had the braids was when I heard that episode, and I was like,
what now, why am I in it now, why am I in it?
You know what I mean? Like, what did I do? Let you, it's fine, we still love you, it's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. That immediately, it's fine. Kelechi, you talk a lot about a lot of different things in your podcast, but one thing that I wanted to ask you was, how do you prioritize your own joy? What do you do that makes you happy? What do you do when you're not doing like social media, when you're doing your podcast, when you're not doing like your businesses, your studio? What do you do to kind of like make yourself happy?
I run. I really enjoy running. I know for some people they're like, yuck, but running gives me, I feel like running is one of the few times that I feel free in this Babylon. And you know, to just run of my own accord, to just move of my own accord, I think it's really great. I enjoy playing video games, you know, because again, just giving one part of my brain time to relax while I'm utilizing another part of my brain comes in really useful for me. I love listening to music. I love watching like my trash TV reality shows. I don't even call them a guilty pleasure. I'm not guilty. I enjoy it. There's just something about it. I think that it's important to just shut all the way down. I love spending time with my family, you know, my immediate family. I just love it. I love having that space to where it just feels quote unquote normal, because in my day-to-day life, you know, people just know me as me, you know, just doing what I'm doing. So it's really nice to be able to kind of like switch off, cook. I love cooking. I love baking. Like one of the first things when I moved into this flat years and years ago was like, oh no, I've got to get a range master cooker. And so I got one because I really, you know, I like baking more than one thing at a time. I like, you know, using all of the stoves. I love all of that stuff. So those are the things that I hold dear to me, which means that what's happening on social media isn't as important.
Yeah. And I think, as you said, like it's important to switch off and like have that escape sometimes. How do you juggle everything though? How do you juggle working and being a mum and then having time for yourself? Because I think that's like what a lot of us kind of struggle with. And sometimes, you know, you get like that mum guilt when you're like working, do stuff to better your life and your child's life. How do you juggle that with your little boy?
I don't, you know, I think that is exactly what it is. You juggle it. You don't, there is this falsehood about there being a balance. Like in this capitalist society, I don't know if we're finding a balance anytime soon, especially as Black women. You know, there are so many curveballs that you get thrown on a random day that it would be ludicrous to expect that you would balance all of that. But what I try to do is know where my limits are. If I feel like I've gone too much one way, like I'm working too much, okay, I'm going to pull that back in the next week, and I'm going to focus on, you know, spending time with my son more, my family more, you know, like doing all of that stuff. Or maybe because I've been so busy, I haven't really cooked this week, so I've had to eat out a lot. Next week, I'm going to make sure that I, you know, I try and make a couple of meals from scratch, because I love doing that. You know, it allows me to relax, but also it means that I'm giving my body exactly what I want to give my body, you know, and I'm not having to compromise because of what's available, because I haven't had time to make anything. I think it's just, you go one way, you come back. You go another way, you come back. Life is so sporadic and chaotic that to try to force a balance on it is unfair to us.
And I think it's important as well, like, to like take time for yourself and actually be okay with that. I think a lot of the time we kind of think, especially when you have a child, it's like, yes, it's all about the child. Yes, we love our children, but actually we were whole humans before they existed.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's important, and it's okay for mothers to do what they're doing. If they want to work, work. If you don't want to work, don't work. I don't care. Do you know what I mean? Time, because if you're not happy, then our kids aren't going to be happy. Do you know what I mean?
That's truly it. To me, it's just I prioritize myself. People say, if you've got to prioritize your child. I prioritize myself, as you say, because if I don't prioritize myself, I can't then be my optimal for my child. But also I want to be the optimal for me, not just having this thing where I've got to be a particular way for everybody else. I also want to enjoy me. So I choose the things that I like doing, whether it's to go gym, whether it's to go swimming. It sounds really random, but these are the things that I genuinely enjoy doing for myself. Sometimes I journal, or sometimes I'll do a tarot pull for myself. I just like taking myself out for lunches or going to the theatre. I had to make sure that I was still doing the things that I wanted to do, because it's the saddest thing when your child grows up and they don't know you past the identity of mummy, because you've got no activities that you enjoy doing, no hobbies, no outside interests. You've claimed that you've devoted your life to them growing up, and they're looking at you like, well, rah, that's mad. I would have been okay either way.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And actually, speaking of, you mentioned the theatre, I went to see Get Up Stand Up as well. I know you spoke for podcast. Again, yes, like there was a lot of white people talking, but the staff were, cause when I go to the theatre, I get like assistant. I didn't go to an audio described performance, I just went to a normal performance, but I took my mum, and the staff was so lovely, and obviously like the performers were great. And I always try to make an effort, like when I have good experiences with places, like if I get good assistance, I always call them up and say, like, your staff were really helpful. It was really, they made my experience really pleasurable, because a lot of the time when you like have a disability and you go in somewhere, even if it is to like the theatre or the cinema, sometimes you're made to feel like an inconvenience. And like just that show, like they were really helpful. They didn't make me feel like that at all. But yeah, it was a good show.
That's so good.
Talk to me, Kelechi, about the Child of Light Children's Centre. And I know that you've got a GoFundMe, so tell people a bit first, and then how they can get involved, how they can support.
Yeah, Child of Light Children's Home and Resource Centre is pretty much my sort of response to a society that has made so much money off the orphanage industrial complex. It's important for Black children to be able to stay with their parents, to be able to stay with their mothers, And what you find with this, these orphanages sometimes is that even though the families are living, the children are given away, because it's like, oh, well, they'll have a better life elsewhere. And I believe that, it's important for the child to have a good life with you. And so that comes, rather than taking children away from their families, is supporting the mothers so they can learn new skills should they want to learn it, and being able to interact with a global community through the internet, from the resource center, so they feel more emboldened, empowered to go and do the things that they want to do in their life. So they'll get like free workshops from the facilitators and practitioners that I know from across the world for various things. They'll be able to pick up nappies, they'll be able to pick up, clothing, they'll be able to pick up whatever they want, because I believe that none of these things actually cost what people are saying that they cost, and it's nothing for us to be able to give it to people, right? I think about the amount of clothes that I get sent because these brands perceive me to be an influencer. I'm like, you've just sent me grand's worth of clothes, but there are children out there, mothers out there that don't have anything. So what would be great if I could just make sure that I'm sending those things over so other people can also get use of these things that clearly this capitalist system is throwing away. And for those children that don't have living relatives, I know that from the projections that we'll be able to house like 20 of them, make sure that they go to a really good school, make sure that they've got everything. It's literally a home. They'll just be able to live there and be nurtured healthily, have access to therapy if they want it. They'll have access to whatever they require, because I just think to myself, like, if I didn't come to England at the age of 5, then what would my life have looked like? I want to make sure that these young girls don't have any obstacles in their way for them to become who they are destined to be. And so, yeah, that's why I'm doing it. So I set up the GoFundMe. It's a project that I'm doing with my mum. It's actually my mum that brought it to me, and she said, oh, she wanted help with it. And initially it was like, oh, I need help with the name. Oh, I need help with this. Oh, I need help with that. And then slowly I was noticing that everything was becoming my project. And she was like, well, since you've gotten started, you can spearhead it and I'll just be here. So it's a nice way for us to also think about intergenerational healing, because my mum and I haven't had like the best relationship growing up, but through something such as this, we're also healing that lineage and also contributing to you know, the livelihoods of girls that will grow up to just be their whole selves. And yeah, I think that's important.
And is there a way, other than people being able to like donate to the GoFundMe, is there a way that people can get involved in other ways? Because some people, they don't have money, but they have time.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's something that
that's coming. Yeah, that's definitely coming. That's definitely coming. So many people have reached out in terms of social workers, therapists, this, that. So many people have reached out. And so when the building is actually built, you know, when all of that's set up, that's when I will be looking at the next stage of how will I be able to maybe pay the people that need to be paid, and also bring in people who want to volunteer their time in order to make this initiative what it needs to be.
Yeah, I think that's great, and it will definitely, you're so like driven, like it will be like everything that you want it to be. I just know. Kelechi, you're having a live show on the 2nd of April.
Yes.
Upset. I'm gonna just like, because they took my tickets. I'm really upset. And Audrey from Beats is your MC. I'm like, what's going on here? What's going on? This is not fair.
Hopefully there'll be other live shows, you know. There'll be other live shows. I was truly stunned. I was truly stunned by how quickly it sold out. I knew that it was going to sell out fairly quickly, but I was like, whoa, what? But yeah, it's a humbling thing. It's a humbling experience to know that so many people are coming to catch a vibe. Wow, truly wow.
What can people expect at the show? I mean, I'm not going to be there, so I won't. What do they have to look forward to?
As with previous live shows, I think it's the energy. You know, I'm bringing the audio format of the podcast into live form, so there'll be, you know, random things, because it's not a controlled environment. You know, well, as controlled as it can be until Lev pops up and he starts shouting while I'm recording, but it's a relatively controlled environment when I'm recording from home. So when you're recording and it's a live podcast, then, you know, anything can happen. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to just the energy of the audience. And what I think is so great is that anybody who's a fan of the podcast, who's a listener of the podcast, they're likely to be great vibes. So having all of those people in one place where we all vibe on the same thing, we all seem to have similar perspectives on the way that the world is going. That's a great meeting of the minds. All of those people, oh no, it's gonna be sick.
Yeah, it's going to be a great energy, because as you say, so everyone's going to be on the same like wave. I remember years ago going to the Receipts live show. I think this was like 2019, I want to say, and I was like, yeah, like this was amazing. And one day, Kelechi, let's speak it into existence. I'm going to have a live show.
Amen.
And my live show is going to consist of balloons, and that's what makes.
That's perfect. That's perfect. That sounds like a sickening live show. I love it. That's what we want. Balloons and Prosecco. That's living life.
It definitely is. Kelechi, I wanted to ask you, how do you, because obviously I listen to your podcast, so I know that when people piss you off, you will call them out, yeah? I mean, not that it doesn't seem to get to you, but I feel like you found a way to kind of like deal with the backlash that you get for just speaking facts, right? how did you get to that point? Have you always been like that? Have you never cared what people say about you if it's negative? Because I feel like it's something that, like, for me even, it's hard to kind of like not internalize negativity, like when people are just how did you get to this space where you're just like, no, like, you can piss off? Like, how did you get there?
I would say it's through therapy, lots of therapy, you know, because I wasn't always there, especially with the childhood that I had, that you kind of link a lot of things to shame. It takes a lot of work to know that you don't have to be a lifelong, you know, subscriber to shame. You can at one point just cancel your membership, you know, and focus on doing the things and prioritizing the things that make you feel joyful and peaceful. When it comes to people saying what they're saying, I feel like it's important to know they can call you any name that they want to call you. It's important to know the name that God calls you, and to know through my spiritual practice how loved I am makes it very challenging and also not really interesting to focus on what mere humans are saying about me, because most times the people who are talking from a deeply unhappy place, and they're projecting. Because when we look at the facts on paper, is what I said incorrect? Is correct? Okay, cool. So what is the problem? Because the problem then is usually, oh, but it's you that's saying it. Oh, so you have a problem with an outspoken, not light-skinned Black woman talking about things. What have you learned about Black womanhood that makes you feel like you would prefer me silent? And so when you start looking at those things and understanding that really everyone's just like acting out and they're lashing out from their own space of unhappiness, you have to make it a priority to not absorb it, because it's not about you. So few things in this life are truly about us. Even if someone is right in your face right now being like, you this, you that, it's rarely about you. They've got some other things going on. And of course, we take accountability for the things that our actions, you know, the repercussions of our actions, of course. But when you know that you've done nothing wrong and you've been following the path that's set before you and you're doing it with integrity, it's ridiculous to then be like, oh, that person over there that hasn't got a fucking clue what I'm meant to be doing with my life is telling me that they don't like it. Oh, okay. You just end up having to tune it out. In Yoruba cosmology, within Ifa Yoruba spirituality, it reminds you that Earth is a marketplace. You've literally come here with specific gifts, and you've come to share those gifts and trade those gifts in the marketplace to get things, to get experiences, things like that. You cannot get distracted by the noise of the marketplace. You go to trade your wares, and at some point you're going to bounce, but you want to make sure that you've gotten the most from the things that you've taken to that marketplace. And so if now somebody's shouting expletives or moving mad to you, you never make it to go and trade all of the things that you needed to trade, then what was the point of coming? What was the point? So you've got to, that's what I think about, like, nobody knows how long they have. And I refuse to spend any more time worrying about people who don't like me. Fam, I'm sexy. Like, you don't, what is there not to like? At this point, you're literally with the losing team, ho. Like, you just have to keep going. But again, like I said, in practical steps, I was able to offload all of this. I was able to learn, you know, where I am and where other people are, and to know that what's my energy and what's my baggage and what's not mine to hold. Therapy allowed me to do that. And because of that, I'm able to kind of show up in the world as I am. And I also know when I'm getting overstimulated from too many opinions. And so I pull back, recuperate, and I come back when I'm ready. But it's important to kind of teach people boundaries. I know that part of my calling is to teach people boundaries online as well. So when I say to people, don't DM me trauma, it took a while for people to get that, but now they know if you do it, I'm going to block you, because there are consequences to doing that. And so people move in a more respectful way to me online. But that didn't happen overnight. That was, you know, consistent reassertions of my boundaries until people understood it. And I think that's all we can do.
Yeah, and I think, like, especially online, I feel like people just feel like because you're online, because you're, you know, in the public eye, they have a right to you, a right to say their opinions about you. And it's a lot, like, I'm sure these people are not coming up to you in the street and saying this nonsense. But online, type what you want. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
crazy, but I think, yeah, you have to like be able to kind of tune it out, and it's something that I'm learning to do, because you know, for a lot, I did a video years ago for Vice magazine. I always say this, and it was talking about like dating with a disability, and oh my god, did the trolls come out to play?
Wow.
They were like a lot of American trolls, and they were just like, well, the only disability I see is her accent. I'm like,
Oh,
okay.
wow.
Oh, you're fat, you're this, you're that. I'm thinking, okay, first of all, if you're gonna like give me an insult, can you at least be a bit more creative? Like calling me fat. I mean, is that news to you? Is it news to me? Like, I'm a bit confused. Do you know? But anyways, with trolls.
Trolls are not worth it. If you are bad, you would show your face. I only care about the opinions, or I'm only willing to acknowledge the opinions of the people who can show me their full government and their face. Show me your face and your full government. Let me know your full name and your face, and then we can talk. But while you are hiding, while you are being a coward, I don't want to hear a single thing you have to say.
People just love drama. They love drama, and they love to just be negative. But as you said, it's not about artists. It's a lot about them. They don't like to hear the truth. I want to know how you got into like your spirituality and like tarot card reading, because I've never like been into it until this podcast. I listened to you doing your readings, and I find it quite comforting. So, like, how you got into that, why you got into that, and what does it kind of like bring to you? Is it comforting to you?
Yeah, it was just gradual. So in terms of tarot, there's a tarot reader, Leona Nicole Black, who I'd followed for a few years before she started reading tarot. And because I knew her to be an academic, when I saw her starting to explore tarot, I thought that's really interesting, because some would say that this really intelligent woman, she's, you know, focused on academia, she's a lecturer, and then she's deciding to do tarot. I want to learn some more. And I really enjoyed her very straightforward and at the same time extremely creative interpretation of the decks. And I thought, there's something about that I like. I'm going to start, you know, playing around with it and trying to understand it more. So I started reading about tarot. And then soon after, I started the podcast. And so I started doing it on the podcast. I didn't know how it would land, but I knew that I wanted to do that. I wanted for people to experience what I experienced by watching Leona, and be like, okay, there is so much body of thought here that we should all at some point interact with it, because we'll all get something different from it. But it will become like comforting. I also believe that, you know, a lot of religions, especially if we're talking about specifically Christianity, the version that was presented through white supremacist patriarchy, there has to be a middleman between you and God. And I think that's one of the biggest things that became an issue for me. There doesn't have to be a middleman between myself and spirit, because we're actually one. We are one with spirit. So I love things like tarot and learning about Yoruba spirituality, because it reminds you of just how much of a role you play in your current experience of this existence. So rather than falling back and being like, oh, well, nothing I can do, and at the same time on the other end of that spectrum thinking, well, I can do everything, I have to fix everything, you understand that it's a very, very beautiful balance, because that can be balanced, a beautiful balance of the fact that you only have control over so many things in this seemingly chaotic experience, but it's actually a beautiful kind of dance. And once you learn the steps, you kind of flow with it a lot more easily. And I think that when you start to flow with life, you find such a comfort in knowing that you are divinely held, and that nobody can take you for idiot. Like, and that's where my confidence ultimately comes from, because I know the kind of ancestors that ride with me. I know how much spirit loves me, and I know that I'm meant to get the best experience out of this existence as possible. When you know truly that you are loved very, very robustly by forces that you cannot see, I feel like you move different, and you just let humans with their limited perceptions have whatever understanding that they have of that.
And I think the way you like break it down in your episodes as well is like easy for people to understand, even people that are not into that, or, you know, don't know much about it. You kind of break it down in a way. And sometimes I'm like, listen, I'm like, oh, these things is really applying to me. Do you know? Like, it is like comforting, and like listening to Say Your Mind, it's kind of like every Monday it's like, oh, just checking in with Kelechi, do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's really good. Like, anyone like listening to this that like hasn't listened to Say Your Mind yet, I mean, what are you doing, babes? But go and listen to it's like, it makes you laugh and learn all at the same time. I can't explain it, honestly. Speaking of learning, Kelechi, I have a pole dancing studio. Now, I don't have a pole, Kelechi, but I want to come to a class. I was with my friend the other day, and we went for like a boozy brunch, and she was saying that she wants to go. You see me, yeah, I'm a fat cow. I don't have upper body strength. I don't have lower body strength. I don't have any kind of strength. I don't think I'm gonna. How is this gonna work, Kelechi?
It's very, very straightforward. When it comes to pole dance, people instantly think about upper body strength. They start thinking about strength, and they get preoccupied with strength. All you have to have is presence. You just have to be present in your body, and then the maths of pole will be made apparent to you. So the way that I teach pole is that pole is physics. You, regardless of how much you weigh or how you perceive yourself, all you need to understand is that this object is fixed to a point, and it's this vertical object that's fixed to a point. It is about how you place your body at specific speeds and angles to get the result that you want. So over time, you will start to learn different angles to come at the pole at, different speeds to come at the pole at, because if you move something fast enough, it becomes light enough to be elevated, right? Same with a plane. The plane goes into the air. The plane's like, the plane's not like, oh my God, how am I going to get up there? Oh, look, the plane has to move at a specific speed in order to be elevated. And so that is how I teach pole. I try to take the mystique out of it. You could put that back in later, but if you just understand the physics of pole, you then, even if you can't do a move straight away, instantly your mind understands, oh, that's what I need to do the next time. And you keep training that. And then I find that a lot of my students, even with the way that I've constructed the curriculum, a lot of my students learn pole more thoroughly. They're fitter, they're stronger than they would have been by going to other studios, because nobody breaks it down to them like that. They're just like, just try it. Oh, you didn't get it? Just try it again. But if they didn't get it the first time, just trying it again doesn't help them, unless you can tell them that that time when you did it, you did this thing. The next time that you do it, can you think about this thing? And then suddenly you start getting the results. And you know, the students are better for it. So you don't even need to worry about that. You don't need to, I've trained so many different people, so many different types, you know, body types. All you need is to just be present in your body. So if somebody says, can you feel this here? Yeah, I can feel it. Can you feel this here? Yeah, I can feel it. All right, remember that, and then do this next thing. That's all.
Well, I'll be doing a lot of feeling because I can't see a blood clot thing, but it's like, need to be a pole dancer, do you know what I mean? It's fine. But Kelechi, I don't know, how the hell do you pole dance with your son strapped to you? I was like, what? Like, lift a child, okay?
Now that literally that's from training, that's from weightlifting, that's from, you know, doing pole and aerial arts that I've done throughout the years. It comes from that, but it's fun. It's fun to be able to, you know, bring my son into something that I love so much, something that I enjoy so much, and it's play, you know. So it's really weird when people try to stigmatize it and they're like, how dare you have your son on the pole? You're showing him a stripper life. And I'm like, and even if I was, and what's your concern? You know, but no, it's just fun. You know, they go on monkey bars at the playground. What's the difference?
Yeah, no, like, it must be fun for him. It's I see
he loves it,
like giggling, but no, but Kelechi, you are strong though. Like, but I've seen your videos in the gym. Oh Jesus, I'm trying to sign up to a gym. I had weight loss surgery a year ago, and I want to like keep it going, but now I want to like improve my fitness. So I really want to join a gym, and I bought a cross trainer. waist, the clothes are hanging on it. But you're inspiring me, do you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to go to the gym like Kelechi. I mean, I ain't going to do the running thing because I'll be running into poles. But I need to go to the gym. I want to be like one of them people that enjoys the gym.
But if you don't, that's all right. Like, I don't think that everybody needs to enjoy the gym. The gym is so specific, truly. The gym is such a specific place. The only thing we need to prioritize is movement. I just try to structure my movement around the gym. But even if you're not at the gym, you get the same effects from dancing, and you can dance in your home, you can dance anywhere, and you're still using your body in a similar way, So it's about the movement that speaks to you, because if it's not joyful, you will not keep it up. And that's what we need to find. And I say that, when I was still a personal trainer, I would say that often to clients, like, there's no point in us doing this if you're hating every moment of it. What we need to do is find something that you do enjoy and to amplify that.
No, that's true. That's true. And that's very important. I mean, I do like dancing. Maybe I need to do Zumba or something.
Zumba or whatever, some Afrobeats classes, some dancehall classes, because them soca classes, my God, they are intense. But at the same time, you're learning whining skills, you're loosening up your hips, your waist, you're ready. Do you get what I mean? That energy's moving through you. Those are also valid and incredible ways to be active. It doesn't have to be lifting weights.
No, I need to do that, then I can be ready for carnival. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. There's actually a tangible result from that. So when you step on roads, people will know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Fun. That excites me more than the gym.
Exactly.
I want to ask you, this is my last question to you. What does the future hold for you? What have you got planned? What have you got in the pipelines? What do you want in your future?
All I truly want in my future is world peace, Jesus. Honestly, I just want us to be able to vibe as a global community. And it seems like we're so far off that. But I do believe that, I have hope like that it is possible. That it is possible to reach there at some point. For me personally, more privacy, more, more space, more like literal, space in my home to just be peaceful, to feel joyful, and to have that space away from like the wildness of the world. I'm open to life. In 2016, I didn't consider myself to be a writer. In 2022, I've written so bloody much. I've written so much. So it just goes to show that at every stage of your life, sometimes you are shown a new ability that you didn't even know you had. So I'm just open to learning of other abilities that I'm able to use to further my experience while we're here.
And I'm hoping that you get everything that you desire. And
Amen.
Never want you to stop, because sometimes it is hard to keep hope in a world that keeps showing us that everybody is fucking mad. Everybody.
Yes.
But sometimes when you find people that are actually like speaking sense, you're like, please don't ever stop. Don't ever stop.
Thank you.
Kelechi, before I let you go, I like to get everyone that comes on my podcast a little gift to say thank you for giving me your time. So I've got you 2 little gifts.
Okay.
I know that you do your tarot card readings, and I thought, well, I'm not going to get you tarot cards. You've got loads. So I you a tarot card box.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's of life on it. And
wow.
Got you a personalized bag as well.
Oh my God, I love the font as well. Come through magic.
That's the first thing. And then Kelechi, bear with me. I don't know if you managed to pass any shops like while you was out today. I don't know if you passed a news agent, but you've made the news, Kelechi.
Breaking news. If you don't like what she says, you can suck your Oh, I love it. Amen. Yes.
in there for you as well, but I'll let you read that privately.
Oh, thank you so much.
Just let everybody know where they can find you, Instagram, Twitter, just let everybody know.
Yeah, you can find me on @Kelechi Okafor or @Say Your Mind Pod on all platforms. That's where I be at. Yeah, that's pretty much. And the Pole Studio, Kelechi Okafor Studio, is in Peckham as well. If you want to check that out, it's KelechiOkafor.com.
Kelechi, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. It's been amazing, and honestly, please keep doing what you're doing, and please do another live show, because I don't want to have to come and be breaking down the door. Okay.
Okay, sure thing.
Like, Kelechi, there's a random blonde girl trying to get in.
Just let her in. Just let Joy in, please.
Go easy on me, okay?
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Joy's World, the podcast. Get in touch with me. Find me on Instagram @Joy's World, the podcast, Twitter @JoyXOXO. Email me if you're a hot guy or a hot girl, joyspodcast@hotmail.com. Remember to stay happy and live your best life. Always. Mwah.